Hey, it's Alex here again. So Apple just made an update or a release to their new operating system. Well, they just announced their release of their new operating system, which will be iOS 26, which will be working across all versions of Apple devices. So whether you're on a macOS, on the watch, or on your phone itself, your new operating system, once it has been released, will be iOS 26. I have been using the beta for a couple days now, and I wanted to show you guys how it feels, or the experience of using this new liquid glass, or whatever they're calling it, on my iPhone 16 Pro Max. So let's look at it today. Okay, so like many of you, there's some things that just grabs your attention, and one of the main things for me was the spatial imaging that they had for this operating system, which I had to quickly install the iOS beta. And yes, it is a beta, so don't expect all of the features to be working on this operating system, but it kind of gives you an insight of what you would expect coming in the near future when they actually make the full release. And that thing allowed me to actually take an image, which essentially has to be something that is, you know, something preferably in portrait mode and has some depth toward it, and that actually allows you to quickly go in and just change the image to a spatial image and allow you to have this effect that you see going on right here on the screen. Not sure if that's something that is a game changer, especially with the current climate of what Android is doing versus what Apple is doing, but just to give you some insight or something that could be a talking point if you're trying to convince someone that, hey, iOS is a little bit better than Android. Another cool thing that I saw added was the depth effect that was kind of there before, to be honest. If I'm thinking correctly, where you're able to see like a little bit of depth with the images that you have. So they just upgraded a little bit with a new design to the lock screen, allows you to have like your time clock, as you can see here, that kind of animates in and out. And the vibe for this operating system, as I said, is a liquid glass, so that's kind of what you see most of the effect, which kind of leads us over to even the new designs of the icons. Right now, the icons that you're seeing on the screen are icons that, let me just pull this up to show you guys that this is actually a tinted icon, which I personally am not a big fan of. It took me a day to actually get used to it, but after getting used to this, I personally don't like just this liquid glass vibe. Hopefully, you know, in the future they have some like more refinement to go with this, but I find it a little bit hard to look at, especially when you're using the phone for an extended period of time. And here you could see the clear effect. You have light, dark, and also auto, which adjusts between these two settings based upon the time of the day. But as you can see, the icons have a little bit of new look towards them, and I kind of like that because it refreshes your phone, makes you feel like you actually have a new device using. But this is kind of, you know, one of the two things that kind of grabbed my attention. But for an everyday user actually using this beta version, this thing kind of gets a little bit annoying from my perspective. They've also updated, let's say, the search bar. I know previously if you were using this phone and you were searching at the top or somewhere else, the search bar for most of the applications are actually down below, so you're actually able to get full visual usage of the whole screen itself. Nothing is actually blocked to how they use this new design. And I actually want to jump into the Photos app, which is something that I personally like, especially coming from the previous versions of the Photo app. The collections and just the design of it was pretty annoying, pretty hard to use. And just look at the bottom of the screen, we have library and collections, and if you do something like this, swipe from library to collections, and just look how like it has this, I'm not sure how they got this done, but it just feels, it looks pretty cool. Looking at some of these transitions between the tabs is very cool in my opinion. That's a plus in my book. But the organization of the Photos app has been redesigned, and I want to say toodles to the team over at Apple for actually listening to us and making the changes before, because the previous collection was pretty annoying and difficult to use. But apart from that, you know, the Photos app is pretty pretty much still the same. You're able to search through your images. If you want to search for something specific, you could go search for that. And as I said before, with the searching of this at the bottom, you could actually go and see you actually have, you know, full range or full usage of the whole screen, versus when previously like part of the screen was cut off with having some of the tab bar icons. So, you know, more real estate for you guys who want a bigger phone screen without actually having to have a bigger phone screen. For the music lovers that actually want to see something set up new from the operating system, if you go back even to your lock screen, they actually have just a updated design to how you're able to see the music that you're playing from whichever application. It looks a little bit different. Not sure if it's something that I could say rave much about, but hey, this is actually what you could expect from using also the lock screen with a music application. Now, taking a look at the camera app, one thing that I could tell you from the design of this operating system is that most things now are hidden behind another layer to be able to have design over even functionality, and that's something that Apple has consistently done with their operating system in the past, and it looks like this is the direction they're going to continue going in the future. Right now you have video and photo when you actually open up the application, and there's not much else that you could see on the screen apart from like some of these other settings that you could use to adjust. But in order to actually see the rest of the functionality, you press down right here, and then you either swipe left or right, and you could go through like the time-lapse, slow-mo, all of the other settings that you could use with the camera app. And also if you like swipe up here from the bottom, you have an extension of some of the other features like aperture and exposure, all of these settings. And as I said, this is the future. This is where Apple is going. More of the visual elements looking a lot more appealing than just functionality. So now with the new operating system, you will have to go an extra step to be able to extract or use some of the functionality that you could easily use previously by just tapping on a icon when you pop up or open an application. Hooray to being able to change the background image of your chat. That's something that WhatsApp has been doing for a number of years right now, but that has made its way over to iOS, and you could quickly like click on the top section of your image where you see the name of the contact, and just scroll over to backgrounds, and you could select just a background that you like right here, and just to swipe through to show some of the backgrounds that you could select from. This has made its way over to Apple, and it has been probably on many other texting applications for years now. But another thing that I like and I enjoy is that I don't know how Apple gets to do this, or how they've made more refinement to the texting or just using the keyboard on this, but the haptic feedback on this application feels even a lot more responsive, and that's coming from the beta version. So I'm pretty sure you will expect even much better results when they actually make their full release of this application. However, you know, the haptic feedback on this just feels a lot more responsive. Just feels like once I click the button, it goes and it quickly selects the whatever I'm selecting from my keyboard. But I really can't figure out how they did it, but it just feels a lot more refined using the keyboard from this operating system. Oh, and I don't want to open my group messages, but one thing that's also made its way over to the messages app is, you know, when you're actually texting someone and you see the bubble come up below when they're actually typing. Now with group messages, you could see the bubble of along with an animation of the image of the person who is responding to your text message. If you're looking at this phone case and you actually do like it, is from my friends over at Muffed. Link to this item will be in the description below. I love this vegan leather and actually the color that they have. Muffed has some cool aesthetic product that goes with your Apple accessories and also, you know, any other phone devices. I love how the cutout, how smooth it is with the cutout of the action camera button, and just how this feels in hand. It's super light. It doesn't make my phone feel bulky, but the design and even the buttons itself, just to smooth and just, you know, detailed refinement that they make with their phone cases, is definitely something that you want to have on your phone case. But links, as I said, is in the description down below. The photo app also had a major update, which is one thing that I'm not even 100% sure just how feasible it will be using it on a practical everyday use. I personally tried to use it with my wife. She was speaking Spanish and I was trying to understand with the live translation in the English version. But as you can see from the screen right here, there's just some, you know, some refinement that needs to actually happen with this particular translation app. And it was easy to set up. I think you actually have to have the translate app on your phone to be able to actually download the specific language. But once that is done, you go in, once your call is ready, at the bottom left corner of the screen you select that like 3 little buttons, pops up enable live translation, and then the conversation begins to live translate. But I could really see how this could be, you know, useful for individuals that have to talk on the phone and they need this added layer of translating the information. But for me, I was having issues with, because I could actually see the text comes up, I'm trying to respond before with not, you know, verbally hearing whatever voice AI tool that they're using to actually read back out the text to me. I think that needs to be some refinement, especially where you could either enable or disable the voice section of the translation app. But overall, I feel like this is some of the features that I found to be not so practical, and just want to show you guys like my perspective of using this new operating system. Not saying that it is bad, but you know, who tells? Apple might make some major changes by the end release date after this beta, you know, time period has gone by. But I just want you guys to like this video, share, leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Let me know if you want me to do more types of these videos which shows you the operating system of the phone. But I feel like that wraps it up. Again, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out, God bless, bye.